Hey, you know what? You can just be like Travis Hunter and play both sides of the ball.
Good. I could play DN, tight end, DN receiver, anything.
Yeah. Hey, then you can go win a Heisman Trophy.
It's hard. Speaking of Heisman, do you think that the Heisman race right now is more so a quarterback race, or is it, because like for the past few years, it's always been just quarterbacks, quarterbacks. This past year, we had 4 quarterbacks in the Heisman race. So I'm thinking, how hard is it, do you think, for people to actually win the Heisman nowadays if you're not a quarterback?
Oh, I think it's extremely hard. And we actually talked about this recently. And I really think they need to change the way that the Heisman is voted on and the criteria of Heisman candidates that can be there. So obviously, your quarterbacks are one of the most important positions on the team, right? Because if you don't have a good quarterback, it doesn't matter how the other team looks, you probably ain't going anywhere. Just
Yeah.
because, that's kind of where the game has shifted. However, there are wide receivers, running backs, defensive players that have made just as big of impacts over the past couple of years. I mean, we talk about the Joey Boses of the world, or Miles Garrett. You've got
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna say this wrong. Tui Maioloa from Ohio State. Like you see all these great defensive players, and they don't even have a shot. They're not even looked at. I talked about it and said on the voting side, you need to take everybody's votes away, and you need to give
Yeah.
it to all the former Heisman winners should get a vote because they're players. They understand what it takes to win that award. And then you should have a group of so a player like yourself could submit their name to the Heisman pool and they select a certain amount of seniors and juniors. Keyword, I said seniors and juniors to be voters on that panel to vote for the Heisman. And then, of course, if you, for some reason, are in that contention, then you just don't get the vote that year.
Yeah.
But that's how I think it should be voted on. I think you should have allowed to have peer-to-peer voting, former Heisman winners. And then when it comes to candidates, you should have 5 candidates a year, 2 quarterbacks, a running back, a wide receiver, a defensive lineman or defensive player of some sort, right? That way, everybody's represented.
And that's an interesting thing to me because I believe I read somewhere that Will Anderson, he won the award for best defensive player like in college football like 2 years in a row, but he never even sniffed a Heisman.
Oh, Will Anderson last year? I mean, you guys played against him. He was incredible. Like his stats last year, they were off the charts. Or
Yeah,
not this season, like
years,
the
2 years
season.
ago,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
never won the Heisman, which was something crazy to me. Like he didn't even was he even up for Heisman voting? Like top?
I don't think so. You had Bryce Young on that list. And who was the wide receiver for Alabama?
Um,
Because there was a wide receiver that won it for Bama too, as of recently.
2 years ago.
2021, that's when he had 101 total tackles, 57 solo tackles, 17 and a half sacks.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
almost not unheard of, but like that is very, very, very rare. That's very uncommon. Something that not many 2 million linemen do. And if you can't win the Heisman off of 17 and a half sacks with 100 and something tackles, 57 solos, like what do
to
you
put it in perspective, you have 16 and a half sacks in your total career. He
yeah.
got 17 and a half in one
Next
season.
year.
So people can put that into perspective.
And people don't understand how hard it really is to get a sack on a quarterback.
It's hard.
They do not, especially at the SEC level. Man, it's crazy.
Yeah, because the thing is, looking at you, right, coming out of the transfer portal at 137 total tackles, 73 solos, 16 and a half sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries in your career, right? We look at that and go, my goodness, Colorado just got a player. Like, those are, like, incredible numbers. But then you look at what Will Anderson did in 2021, 101 total tackles. 101 total tackles and 17 and a half sacks, and he wasn't even considered. Wasn't even.
And you have to think this isn't just a linebacker getting these tackles. It's not. This is an edge defender, like an edge rusher, a defensive lineman with this kind of production along in the SEC, and he's not even seeing like or even being even mentioned in the Heisman race. That's something completely different. No, like that's. I feel like there needs to be a change within the Heisman candidacy. I feel like there needs to be a change. That's my personal opinion.
No, there 100% does because, yeah, I mean, you got guys like this that are I would say generational talent at the positions, and they don't get an opportunity to really be up at the highest stage, even if they don't win it, just to be there and
Yeah,
have the opportunity to experience all the things that happened during that week for that award. They should get an opportunity for that. I feel like at least, like I said, one defensive player, a wide receiver, a running back, everybody should be able to represent at that award. It shouldn't just be we have 4 quarterbacks show up and that's it.
yeah,
Because quarterbacks you're always going to have a quarterback put up just some ridiculous numbers.
it's ridiculous. And there's not kudos to them because quarterback is probably one of the hardest positions, if not the hardest position to play on the offense for sure. But it's also the point of, yeah, you're a quarterback, you're getting all the fame, all the success, and everything, but defensive linemen and like defense, I feel like it's become more shifted to an offensive game. The more points you score, the better you do on offense, the better shine you get. While defense, yeah, you can get a whole bunch of tackles, sacks, and whatnot, but unless you're like doing something extraordinary, you're not gonna get the recognition that you really feel like. I feel like defensive players should get. You know?
Well, yeah, because this is what people don't understand. And, I mean, maybe OU fans understand it because it happened this year to us, but an offense can score so fast and then put you right back out on the field. And then you might get them off in a 3 and out, but in 2 minutes, you might be back out on the field again because that offense just went down the field and scored. And it's like, I don't think people realize how hard it is now to play defense because offenses score so quickly that if your defense is not just ridiculously deep from top to bottom, which outside of really Georgia and Bama, who's got deep rooms like that at every position, like it's hard because you guys are out there every single, you guys are probably out there 2 or 3 drives, maybe even
Yeah,
4 drives a quarter.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think there should be a change to the Heisman, but I mean, listen, my voice is not going to be able to change the Heisman. That's going to have to come from the upper higher ups. But yeah, I don't know, or at least they just need to make a different award at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe make a different award.
I mean,
I
they
don't
have. Will Anderson did win the Defensive Player of the Year 2 times in a row. I mean, they have different awards, but it's like, what award is really on that tier of Heisman? You know, and you can
Yeah,
just look at the side of the ball. Like, yes, I feel like Will Anderson could have got it, but where is the love for the O lineman as well? Because I believe Georgia had an O lineman 2 years ago. He only gave up 1 sack ever in his career. 1 sack ever. Barely gave, I think, like 3 pressures ever. I can't remember. It was their left tackle, I think number 68 or 69. I remember playing him when I was at Georgia Tech, and I was the only sack that he ever had in his career. And I'm like, how is this man like not even talked about? Like how is he not
yeah.
even mentioned? That's another thing. Like I don't know. I just feel like there's so much emphasis on so many skill positions and different positions that defense and offensive line really don't get as much praise and glory as they should.
Well, and then we act like it's hard to find a wide receiver nowadays that can go out there and get you 1,500 yards. But
Yeah.
actually, it's more common than not nowadays. You don't have to go out there and land the 5-star wide receivers. You really
No.
don't. You can go out there and get a borderline 3-star to 4-star guy, and they could, develop into a great wide receiver. Finding guys on the offensive and defensive line that are low 3-star guys that can just blossom and be great, very rare, very rare. You almost have to go for those highly rated guys out of high school
Yeah.
because those positions are just, I don't know, it's like they're harder, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No,
Definitely.
I completely get it. There's no respect, no love for a lot of these positions and when it comes to the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, we're gonna change that though. We're gonna start a petition or something. Just give them all everybody to sign. Just only one person per position for the Heisman voting.
Oh, I'd be okay with that. I would 100% be okay with that because then it makes it because then that decision becomes hard. Imagine if you could only choose one quarterback. That would be hard. That would be really hard. And
Yeah,
I feel like you would get the best quarterback at that point.
yeah, you would have to
So,
because you have to choose between a quarterback, a D lineman, a wide receiver, O lineman, running back, everything like that, and it's just work down from there. Because if you can only choose one quarterback to really be put into that pool, then it's not this quarterback, this quarterback, this quarterback, this quarterback are all in the Heisman race. It's one quarterback, one lineman, what it's just different, you know, and it gives us a different pool to really choose from of who gets the Heisman or not. Because you know, quarterbacks they're always going to get all the love. They're always going to get all the success. They're the face of the franchise for real. I feel like, and I love that for them for sure. Like they deserve that. It's the hardest position, but it's like with the Heisman voting and everything. I feel like yeah, there needs to be more love shown. Cause that boy from Michigan, Blake McCorum, I believe his running back, I watched him all season. He was crazy.
He was
He
really
was
good.
crazy. He was really good, and how he didn't even have like a chance to be in the top like 6 in voting is ridiculous. Like he may have been or whatnot, but when I saw it was like 5 quarterbacks straight, and then him.
I think
You know?
what hurt him is Michigan went to the playoffs, and then like Donovan Edwards or Dylan Edwards, like it's Dylan Edwards or Donovan.
Yeah, one of them. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was one of those two. Anyways, he went and had a really good season though after Blake Corum went out. And I think that's what hurt Blake Corum was it was like, oh, so he's not as valuable to this team as we thought because there's another running back that can just go do what he did. And so I think that's what hurt him. But when you look at the Heisman list this year, you talk about just the quarterbacks. Drake May wasn't like he was like I think number 10 on that list.
Yeah.
Number 10. And I get it. Stetson Bennett won national championship last year, and he won it this year. But you can't tell me that Stetson Bennett was better than Drake May. You can't tell me that Max Duggan was better than Drake May. And so, like, I this is becoming more of like you have to be on a good team. You have to be the quarterback of that team. You have to put up just ridiculous numbers to even be considered. And I just don't agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's just how college football is nowadays. Hopefully we can get it changed, but if not, there's still so many awards that honor so many people, you know, and I'm just happy for that. Like, at least people are getting recognition within their groups and everything. I just wish it was put on the stage as much as the Heisman, you know.